The story began with the town being attacked by a group of red ogres. The terrified townspeople could do nothing except watch as the monsters advanced toward them. But before the ogres could reach their victims, a dragon appeared overhead. Riding on its back was a powerful man who calmly scattered hundreds of paper talismans into the air. Each talisman stopped in front of an ogre, and moments later a massive chain of explosions erupted across the battlefield. The blasts were so powerful that part of the town was destroyed along with the monsters. One ogre somehow survived the devastation, but the dragon immediately swallowed it whole. This man was known as the world's strongest exorcist. Throughout his life, he had pursued greater and greater power, but his strength eventually made the imperial court fear him. Instead of celebrating his achievements, they betrayed him. Their distrust grew so deep that they even sent his favorite disciple to stand against him. As he faced death, he regretted not being more cunning and careful. Believing that raw power alone was not enough, he activated a secret reincarnation technique and vowed that if he were given another chance, he would live differently. His wish came true, and he was reborn in another world as a boy named Seika. Years later, Seika stood inside a magic circle while his father examined his magical aptitude. The test used elemental stones that should have reacted to magical talent, but none of them lit up. To everyone present, it looked like Seika had absolutely no magical power. His younger brother Glai immediately mocked him and treated him like a disgrace to the family. Although the people around him thought he was powerless, Seika knew something they did not. He had memories from his previous life, and while the magic of this world was completely different from the spiritual arts he once practiced, he could still feel tremendous spiritual energy within himself. Since paper was expensive, Seika spent his time collecting leaves and using them to create makeshift shikigami. The leaves transformed into small creatures such as mice and crows, allowing him to practice his old techniques in secret. One day, Glai caught him during his experiments and immediately started looking down on him. The situation almost turned violent, but Seika's crow shikigami moved to protect him. Their older brother Loft quickly arrived and chased the birds away. He found the scene suspicious, especially since Seika appeared unarmed, but he focused on taking Glai away instead. As time passed, Seika quietly continued studying the world around him. Because he was the son of a mistress, his status within the household was low. Most people simply ignore him. Rather than complain, he used that freedom to teach himself. He learned how to make his own paper and eventually succeeded in creating a proper paper talisman. Around that time, a young maid named Aoife returned a coat that Glai had thrown away. Before they could talk much, Glai showed up again, ordered Aoife back to work, and boasted about how he would soon attend the prestigious Imperial Magic Academy. Their father soon appeared and called Glai and Loft back to training. Seika asked if he could join them. During the training session, Loft demonstrated a wind spell that sliced through a large stone, while Glai proudly launched a fireball at a target. Confident that Seika was powerless, Glai challenged him to try. Seika hesitated because he did not want to reveal too much too soon, but he also wanted to discourage future bullying. Deciding that a small display of strength might help, he accepted the wand and used his spiritual arts. A blue fireball shot forward and completely obliterated the target. Everyone was stunned. Not only had Seika displayed incredible power, but he had also cast the attack without an incantation. Glai desperately tried to claim that the magic came from leftover energy in the wand, but their father ignored the excuse and acknowledged Seika's talent for the first time. Encouraged by this reaction, Seika asked if he could study magic properly. Unfortunately, his father refused because people without mana had never become successful mages. Still, he recognized Seika's determination and arranged for him to receive a tutor. That small opportunity meant everything to Seika. He devoted himself completely to learning, reading every book he could find, and even secretly listening to his brother's lessons whenever possible. Years passed, and eventually he completed a special talisman that would allow him to test one of the greatest techniques from his previous life. Back then, he had defeated powerful demons and sealed them in another dimension so he could summon them later. He wondered if the same technique would still work in this new world. When he activated the talisman, a door appeared. A young girl stepped through it and immediately rushed toward him with overwhelming excitement. At first, Seika barely recognized her, but she quickly revealed herself to be Yuki, one of the servants he had sealed long ago. Yuki explained that her appearance had probably changed because Seika's spiritual energy was weaker in his new body. Even so, she was thrilled to see him again. Seika was relieved that the experiment had succeeded, while Yuki eagerly asked how she could help. He explained that the summoning had only been a test and warned her not to let anyone see her. Yuki agreed, transformed herself into a tiny wolf, and insisted on staying by his side because she was tired of being trapped in the other dimension. The next day, trouble found Seika once again when Glai started yelling at Aoife for accidentally spilling water on him. At first, he acted angry, but his attitude quickly shifted into something far more unpleasant as he ordered her to come to his room at night. Before things could escalate, Seika stepped in and claimed he needed Aoife for something. Glai was irritated by the interruption and tried to strike him, but Seika effortlessly stopped the punch. Realizing he had no control over the situation, Glai stormed off in frustration. After thanking him, Aoife led Seika outside to show him an injured rabbit she had found. She hoped it could be saved, but she had no idea how to help it. Seika told her to look away while he worked. Taking a single hair from the animal, he used one of his talismans and successfully healed the rabbit. Aoife was amazed by what she witnessed, but Seika was focused on something else. He could sense that there was something unusual about her. When he pointed this out, Aoife became nervous. Seika explained that he could tell she was capable of seeing spirits. Hearing that, she finally admitted that she could see elemental spirits. What confused her, however, was the fact that those spirits always seemed to avoid Seika whenever he was nearby. Curious about her ability, Seika asked whether she could command them. Aoife remembered an incident where wind spirits had been carrying away her laundry. She had become frustrated and yelled at them, and they had immediately obeyed. That answer confirmed Seika's suspicions. In his previous life, he had encountered similar talents, and he realized that Aoife possessed enormous potential. Wanting to develop her abilities, he offered to teach her magic. Aoife immediately objected because she believed she lacked enough mana to become a mage, but Seika ignored that limitation. He summoned a small soul flame and instructed her to make it disappear. At first, Aoife politely asked the flame to go away, but nothing happened. She tried several times without success. Eventually, she lost her patience and angrily demanded that it vanish. The flame instantly disappeared. That single moment convinced Seika that Aoife could become an incredible ally in the future. Although her abilities were still weak, her connection to spirits was exceptional. From then on, the two secretly trained together whenever they had the opportunity. Through every season of the year, they continued practicing, and their friendship steadily grew stronger. When Seika finally turned 12 years old, his birthday passed with almost no celebration. His father was absent and nobody seemed particularly interested in the occasion. Seika tried not to let it bother him, but the loneliness was difficult to ignore. To his surprise, however, both Loft and Glai approached him carrying wooden swords. As usual, Glai started by insulting him. According to Glai, Seika's only future was joining the army. Loft quickly clarified that they had actually come to help him learn swordsmanship. Before they could begin, a group of maids rushed over in panic and warned them that a monster was approaching the estate. Their father was away, leaving the household vulnerable. Seika immediately sensed the creature's presence. A massive elder newt emerged and began moving toward the mansion. Gleist fled in terror. Loft ordered everyone to seek safety, but Seika without hesitation ran outside the mansion. The elder newt attacked Aoife, but before it could land hit, flames suddenly erupted and forced it back. Seika was surprised because the fire had come from Aoife. Somehow she had managed to command the spirits on her own. While impressed by her progress, he knew the danger was far from over. Seika lured the monster away from the house. The enormous beast lunged at him while everyone watched in horror, expecting him to be torn apart. Instead, he calmly used his spiritual arts and launched a poison attack directly into its face. The poison worked instantly. The elder newt collapsed, completely paralyzed. The spectators could hardly believe what they had witnessed. A monster that would have challenged experienced adventurers had been defeated in a single move. The servants erupted into cheers and applause. For the first time in his new life, Seika felt genuine appreciation from the people around him. He smiled and waved back, hoping this moment marked the beginning of a happier future. That evening, a feast was held in his honor. It was the first celebration he had ever received from his family. His father personally congratulated him and admitted that even veteran adventurers would have struggled against the elder newt. Wanting to reward him, he asked Seika what he desired. Seika immediately requested permission to study at the Royal Academy. His father reflected on how diligently Seika had educated himself over the years and finally agreed. However, he warned him that noble status would not guarantee admission. Seika would still have to pass the entrance examination through his own ability. Satisfied with that answer, Seika made another request. He wanted Aoife to attend the academy as his attendant. Aoife panicked when she heard this. His father rejected the idea immediately, arguing that Aoife possessed no magical talent whatsoever. Rather than argue, Seika decided to demonstrate what they had accomplished together. He handed Aoife a wand and instructed her to command as many spirit flames as possible while pretending to cast a spell. Aoife followed his instructions. The spirits responded instantly, gathering around her before unleashing an impressive blast of fire. Everyone was stunned. Even Glai could not believe she had seemingly used intermediate-level magic. Faced with undeniable results, their father reluctantly accepted Aoife's enrollment. That decision created a new problem. Glai protested furiously, arguing that family tradition prohibited sending two brothers down the same path. Surprisingly, their father agreed with him. Since Glai had spent more time practicing swordsmanship than improving his magic, he announced that Glai would join the Imperial Army instead of attending the academy. Glai was devastated. Unable to accept the decision, he challenged Seika to a duel. Their mother tried to stop the argument, but Seika calmly accepted. Their father declared that the duel would take place the following morning. Later that night, Loft visited Seika in his room. Loft wished Seika a belated happy birthday and handed him a gift. The present was a beautiful glass pen, chosen because Seika always studied so diligently. Loft then apologized for being distant throughout their childhood. He admitted that he was proud of the person Seika had become and regretted not spending more time with him. Before leaving, he asked Seika to go easy on Glai during the duel and wished him luck at the academy. Unfortunately, Glai had no intention of waiting until morning. Later that night, Glai threw a rock at Seika's window and demanded an immediate fight. So Seika goes down for a proper duel, but Glai refuses to follow their father's rules and insists that Seika's recent success was nothing more than luck. He unleashed his flame note spell and engulfed Seika in fire. When the flames faded, Seika remained completely unharmed. Glai followed up with windlance attacks, but an invisible barrier blocked them effortlessly. Seika calmly took out a talisman while Glai continued attacking with growing desperation. Then Seika activated the talisman. Instantly, Glai lost control of his body. Seika ordered him not to move, and Glai became completely frozen. To demonstrate his superiority, Seika crushed the talisman's arm. At the same moment, Glai felt unbearable pain in his arm. Terrified and confused by powers he could not understand, Glai finally admitted defeat. Exhausted, he collapsed unconscious. Yuki wondered why Seika had allowed him to survive after seeing so much. Seika simply remembered Loft's request and explained that he had promised to go easy on him. As he looked down at his unconscious brother, Seika reflected on Glai's accusation that he had merely been lucky. In reality, everything had gone exactly according to plan. Seika then revealed his plan had begun 6 months earlier. Long before the Elder Newt appeared, he had already been preparing for opportunities like that. During that time, he had used one of his completed talismans to summon another servant from his previous life. A massive cyclops named Nudo emerged from the gate and happily greeted him, clearly pleased to serve him once again. Even though the creature looked terrifying, it remained completely loyal. Yuki immediately bragged that she had been the first servant summoned, while Nudo ignored her complaints and focused on Seika's orders. After researching the monsters that lived around the area, Seika had instructed Nudo to drive the Elder Newt out of its mountain habitat and toward the family estate. As Seika picked up his unconscious brother after the duel, Yuki wondered why he continued hiding the true extent of his power. In her eyes, the people of this world were weak and posed no threat to him. Seika disagreed. He remembered all too well that in his previous life it was not strength that had killed him. The people who betrayed him had been weaker than him in every measurable way. Because of that lesson, he refused to reveal everything. This time, he intended to be smarter. Sometime later, preparations were made for Seika and Effa to leave for the Royal Academy. Loft delivered a final message from their father, encouraging Seika to study hard and reminding Effa to take good care of him. Although the farewell was simple, it felt warmer than anything Seika had experienced from his family before. As they began their journey, Seika gave Effa a necklace. She was delighted by the unexpected gift. He explained that the necklace contained mana stones, which would help her attract elemental spirits more easily. Effa treasured the gift immediately, and both of them looked forward to the adventure waiting ahead. Unfortunately, Seika's excitement was quickly ruined by a familiar problem. The moment the carriage started moving, motion sickness hit him hard. Even in his previous life, he had always struggled with traveling by carriage, and Seika spent most of the trip looking miserable. Thankfully, he gradually started feeling better as they approached their destination. Ahead of them stood the Academy City, an enormous fortress dedicated to magical excellence. It was one of the most prestigious places in the kingdom, and seeing it for the first time filled both of them with anticipation. Back at the family estate, Seika's father watched their departure and found himself reflecting on events from 12 years earlier. At that time, a mysterious woman had appeared at his doorstep carrying an infant. Without offering much explanation, she handed over the child and disappeared. That child had been Seika. The truth was that Seika was not actually his son. He was the child of his brother Gilbert, a talented adventurer who had graduated from the academy years ago. Gilbert had eventually ventured into the dangerous demon lands. Seika's unusual black hair and eyes had always made him stand out because such features were rare in their country. Even more concerning was the fact that he had displayed magical abilities when he was only 1 year old. Those strange circumstances had caused Loft to distance himself from him and had fueled Glai's hostility. Later, when they discovered that Seika possessed no mana despite his abilities, the mystery only deepened. He could never decide whether the boy was destined to become a great hero or a terrible force of destruction. Although he felt guilty for sending Glai to the army, he believed the academy would be a safer environment for Seika's growth. Deep down, he hoped the academy would help guide whatever destiny awaited him. Meanwhile, Seika and Effa finally arrived at the city and were shown their hotel. Effa was surprised when she learned that her room would be next door rather than inside Seika's room. She seemed oddly disappointed and even suggested spending the night with him since she was technically his servant. Seika completely misunderstood what she meant and assumed she was talking about having dinner together. Since he still felt sick from the journey, he said he had no appetite. Effa left looking slightly dejected while Seika remained completely oblivious. The moment she was gone, Yuki appeared. She immediately started teasing him. Yuki pointed out that Effa was obviously in love with him and accused him of being completely clueless. According to her, Effa was even using her position as his servant to get closer to him. Seika found the idea ridiculous and refused to believe it. Later, Seika and Effa explored the city together. While walking through the streets, Seika sensed a strange energy somewhere nearby. The feeling lingered in the back of his mind, but he chose to focus on registration first. When they arrived at the entrance exam registration area, things became awkward almost immediately. As soon as Seika revealed he belonged to a noble family, people around him began paying attention. Then Effa introduced herself as his servant, which drew even more stares. Then magic measuring ability begins. Effa places her hand on the sphere, and it glows. The examiners determined that she possessed affinities for both wind and fire. Then it was Seika's turn. The examiner looked confused, and Seika calmly explained that he had no mana. Unfortunately, several students immediately started gossiping and claiming that he would only be admitted because of his noble status. Effa became furious on his behalf. Her emotions accidentally caused spirit flames to leak out around her. At that moment, another girl walked past them. She carried herself with absolute confidence, and Seika instantly sensed something unusual about her. The girl introduced herself as Amu. When she placed her hand on the sphere, the entire room lit up with an intense white glow. The results shocked everyone. Amu possessed powerful affinities with all 4 elemental attributes. Seika called out to her and thanked her because her arrival had indirectly ended the gossip surrounding him. Amu immediately shut him down. She explained that she had not been trying to help him at all. In fact, she found him annoying. Since he supposedly had no mana, she believed he would only get in everyone's way. Despite her cold attitude, Seika could barely focus on her words. The moment he saw her, he had recognized something extraordinary. Although her appearance was different, he was certain that Amu was the reincarnation of his favorite disciple from his previous life. That realization left him fascinated.